Well, Colin, clearly a major announcement for the club today. What's prompted your decision to become so heavily involved?
The future, the opportunities we can create, the legacy we can build. I understand the predicament the club's in, and I see that purely as a short-term problem. Obviously, the football club is not a football club in a sense. It's a business. It needs to be run like a business, and so we need to look at every opportunity to build revenue streams around the club that kind of aren't traditional revenue streams. But the work I've been doing up to now, and the work that has been done here a little bit in the past, has led me to think that the club can sustain itself without reliance on gate receipts and bar takings, which has been the history of the club, and that can't continue in this day and age. It can't continue.
Tell us a bit about your proposed alternative revenue streams.
My idea really is quite simply, I want the football club to become the centre of the community. I want it to be the beacon for the community, and so if we can help all of the people in the community through whatever routes we can, which may then provide income for ourselves, then great. The basis of this would be the relationship that we've got at the moment with the academy and the educational side of things. I'd like to think that we could build on that and create a higher education level as well, and even create a university structure based around the business of football, which I've actually done some lecturing in the past in a couple of establishments. That I think that football's such a massive business now, and there's so many different facets to the industry, that I think that being a professional football club, we can provide great support and opportunity for kids to come and learn about the business of football and give them first-hand experience, and then have the Kidderminster badge on their CVs as they go on and look to attain employment in the game. So that could be as coaches, analysts, physios, dietitians. It could be marketing, it could be media, they could become executives, they could even become agents. So really we're looking at creating a university based around the business of football. But we can't get university status for a few years, but that's what we'd look to build towards. And not only building for our own community, and we've got some great relationships with the colleges in the area and the schools within the area, but then look at bringing in people from overseas to see this as being the pinnacle of what they wanted to be involved in.
So you look to sort of tie up with a local university in the first instance, and do it that way. Is that how?
I'd be looking to improve on our current education structure, which is based on further education, and add another tier which is higher education, and building our relationships around that. That's what I'd look to do, and then we can obviously then provide the opportunity for kids to train every day, to get their coaching qualifications, to get them to work in our community structure at the moment and support Nick, whereas he's kind of ploughing a lone furrow at the moment, and get our reach out from sort of 15 to 20,000 kids to 30 and 40,000 kids, because we've got the staff available. So really, it's a business plan that we're working on. That actually I have already put 2 or 3 business plans together, but a structure that can maintain Kidderminster at the head of its community, and Kidderminster Harriers at the head of its community. That's what I'd look to do.
For the benefit of those who don't know, and I'm sure there are quite a few, how does the club benefit from the educational programme? Are you paid per student?
Yeah, you do, and obviously you're providing that service, so you're educating them and you're providing that service. Yeah, so and obviously to try and attain in the long term a university status would be the ideal. That would be the goal. That would be fantastic if we could do that. Then that really is creating opportunities, maybe creating jobs for people in the area as well, because you're looking at residentials, you're looking at people coming in, a kind of a Loughborough, Bath scenario really, and that's what we're looking at. So it'll be based around excellence in every sphere of the football industry. I've been in the football industry now for over, goodness me, professionally for 30 odd years. I've been involved and seen every job there can be, from doing kit deals with Lotto when I started, when I came out of the game, to obviously setting up an established and successful football agency, to doing contracts and negotiating deals. So all of the information that we can pass on and help, to seeing executives work firsthand, to seeing good practice in coaching, to seeing good practice in analysis, in scouting and in recruitment. So all jobs really will be looking to educate and to train those kids who want to work in this fantastic industry. We would like to create that opportunity for them.
And are you confident if those plans come to fruition then that can help fund the football club, and if you like, the gate money and the bar takings are...
It will fund
on top of
everything.
that?
It will fund everything, and the point is that it won't just fund the pinnacle of the pyramid, which is obviously the first team. It will fund all the development teams. It will fund coaches that can go out and work in the community. It will fund coaches that can work with our teams and kids that we can bring our own talent through. So yeah, it will be the basis for all of it. Yes, absolutely.
What prompted you to make this move? I mean, so you're obviously investing a lot of your own money in this to become the majority shareholder to start with, and then meet the bills, as it were. It's a gamble.
It's the next stage of my career. I've had a successful career in football agency. I sold my business 2 years ago, and I'm still obviously involved. But although people don't realise is that the FA were soon on to me when they found out that I'd got a stake in Kidderminster, so I had to make a decision. Do I remain as working as an intermediary, as it's called now, not an agent, or do they gave me the ultimatum? Do I finish my relationship with Kidderminster? And I decided that I'd finish my relationship with the FA, and so I'm no longer an intermediary. So that's that's a cost. But this is my next career. This is 10 years minimum. This is what I want to do. I've been telling people how to do this long enough, and falling out with executives and chairmen for 17 years. So, and now's my chance to try and prove it, but prove it from a position where I can actually make a difference and have a real input. I had the opportunities to go into clubs as technical directors or head of football operations and things like that. But then you're working for something that's already established, and I don't think really you can put your own stamp on it. In this instance, I can put my own stamp on this, absolutely, and and help and aid the great people that are working within the club. And there's some good people, believe me, there's some great people. But also bring a kind of a more rounded view of the game and opportunities. I think sometimes when you're fighting fires constantly, you only ever look at the fire, and we've got to realise there's a massive big world out there, and Kidderminster is such a unique town in as much as the community, it's a landlocked community in effect, and so the community is such a strong community that everybody pulls in the same direction. But we don't want this club to be an embarrassment to them. We want it to be something that they can be extremely proud of and they can support. And I think this is a unique opportunity because of the strength of the people in the town and the outlying areas.
You've been in the game a long time, you said so yourself. Somebody once said the only way to make a small fortune from football is start with a large fortune, and that must be in the back of your mind, really. It is a gamble.
I've spent 17 years in negotiating with those people, and I can see exactly why their large fortunes become small fortunes. It's based on lack of knowledge, lack of due diligence, lack of research, lack of work, and also that most of the football decisions are made on how will our supporters react to this appointment, instead of is this the right person that fulfills our philosophy. There are 3 or 4 football clubs there that are beacons for people to look at. Locally, you've got Walsall. The Jeff Bonser's fantastic chairman, tight man, and by his own admission, but built a football club that really is punching a long way above its weight at the moment, at top of League One, with a budget that probably is bottom 4. West Bromwich Albion for a number of years budgeted for relegation every year and built a financial model that could sustain its football club, and they're in profit every year. Swansea City work to a philosophy that works every year, and they don't change their philosophy. They change the manager, but the philosophy doesn't change, and they're in a lot of profit at the moment. And Southampton Football Club, which I would say is probably the pinnacle that had to go down to the point that we're at now, that then bounced back and rebuilt with a structure and a philosophy based around great football knowledge with Les Reed and his staff, and that football knowledge led the club. It wasn't the chairman, Mr. Corzosi or whatever his name was, and I should know actually, shouldn't I? And everybody else that likes to take credit. It was the fact there were very good football people in there that did their homework and did their structure and looked at the recruitment and looked at the model that sustains now a football club in the top 6 or 7 or 8 of the Premier League, where at one time it was languishing in League One. There are a lot of models out there that work. Just because the majority of them fail, is not because football, you can't actually succeed in football. It's because people aren't actually doing their jobs correctly or getting the proper information and knowledge together before they make decisions.
The new revenue streams you mentioned presumably will kick in from the start of the next academic year, which will be obviously September next year. So the short term aim, you've got to get through this season, hopefully remain in this league.
We've got to get through this season. We won't be solely responsible or solely maintained by educational revenues. It won't be that way. We're looking at all factors. We'll be looking at all factors, and we have to become the hub of the community again. That people think that, you know, if that Kidderminster can drive even the spend in the household, and the brightest clubs out there really at the moment are really realising that the affinity to the football club is not the 1,200 hardcore that will follow you everywhere. It's the 25,000 that will go to Wembley if you get to the trophy final. So that's the hub of the community. That's the affinity that you've got, and to tap into that affinity there, where we can use those numbers to get them better deals on anything they might drive through their household, because we can work on an economy of scale. We can do deals on their behalf. That anything from buying a car to going on holiday to you name it, that we can help them, or booking hotels, whatever it might be. And this is where the brighter football clubs are working now. And the supporters going, well, I can get it cheaper because I go through my football club because of the numbers that are going through, but also my football club's going to get a commission or a percentage of that revenue, so that's actually putting more revenue through my football club, but I'm actually getting things cheaper as well.
And that obviously works very well with Premier League clubs where you get crowds of 40,000. You're confident it can work with...
Well, no, it's not about crowds. It's not about crowds. We're not getting 25,000 people here.
But you've got to get the message out there, though.
Well, we get the message out there. It's not difficult. In this day and age, getting message out there is easy. Everybody's on social media. Everybody's on the internet. That's not a problem. This is the easiest age ever to get information across. But we're not actually doing it. We're just hoping that someone buys a pie or buys a pint, you know. And you can't think that way, you know. I think that the one thing that this appointment is not about is ego. All right, I've had 25,000 people booing me, so I don't really need to be in the limelight. What I see is that we need to create a model football club that we can drive our business and our community forward together. And I think we can do it. That's what excites me. That's why I'm prepared to give up everything that I've got, in effect, the jobs and everything else that I've done, to get involved here, to drive this thing forward. And I'm dressed in my training kit because I've got to go and take the 21s in a minute, and you know, because every bit of work that I can do for the football club, I'll do. And at the minute, I've been doing it for however many months, 3-4 months, and you know, it's all voluntary. There's no cost, but it's an intellectual property that I have that can help the football club go from strength to strength, and it's free. So you can put whatever money I'm putting in and times it by probably 20 as the actual cost to me and my family for time and for loss of opportunity. Then I think, you know, that's my investment, and that's what the people, the shareholders and the board are getting excited about.
Are you confident this club can survive in the league this season? Will Dave Hockaday be able to switch things around in January?
It's coming. It's coming. I think barring Stourbridge, which was an aberration, we didn't see that coming. All the performances, even from going back to Bromley, would suggest that we are actually looking more organised, playing better football, and we've been very, very unlucky. In spells in games, we've been totally dominant but not been able to see it through. So what you had to do was to look at the coaching. We tried to change that internally, but that wasn't accepted. We had to change the coaching, which we did, and then we were improving on the pitch but not seeing games through. So then you question whether the players can actually do it for you. So then you have to look at the staff. So then you change the staff around, and finally we'll see the fruits of our labours. It's been levelled at me that I'm only interested in generating young players. That's complete nonsense. Young players can't thrive without good experienced players in the mix, but good experienced players. Experienced players are experienced players, but if they don't contribute, if they cannot pass the message on, if they don't educate the young players on the pitch, then they're of no value. And invariably the ones that feel the pressure more are the experienced players. They're the ones who are worrying about next year whether they're going to have a job, worrying about next year whether they can pay their mortgage. And therefore those kind of fears get through to their heads and to their legs. The young players are the ones that play without fear because they don't have those concerns at the moment. So what we want is experienced players who can cope with that pressure, and experienced players who can pass the messages on and improve the young talent on the pitch. So it's not about whether we have experienced players or not, it's whether we have the right experienced players. And that's the key.
So would they be able to bring the right experienced players in?
Absolutely. We bought Barnes Homer in on Saturday and he contributed straight away. And we'll be looking for players of that ilk if we can find them. It's not difficult when you're outside of windows. And it's not difficult when you're carrying the burden of the contracts that we've inherited, which of 17 years of doing contracts, some of which I've never seen the like of before. You know, rolling contracts for managers and staff at this level. Are you kidding me? You know, some of the things that you've discovered when you actually scrape below the top surface are just alarming. And one thing you can be 100% convinced about is that mistakes on contracts are a thing of the past. And, you know, that's one thing I do know how to do. And we won't be making those errors again. You know, we will be living within our means, but we will be very, very bright, and we'll be making good signings based on the contacts and the knowledge that we've got within the industry. And so there'll be some exciting signings that we'll be bringing in, and the fans will go, wow, where did you get him from? And there'll be one or two Barnes Homers where people go, well, that makes sense. You know, he's a good player at this level, and he's a good type. And so that's the way we'll be using the experience we've got. But I think we've got all bases covered on all areas and all aspects of the game.